religious person who claims to have free will and in the same breath call your
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. This woman does not know what she's talking about. I wouldn't have made a video response if you didn't single out Islam, but since you did single out Islam, that's why I'm making this video. Other than that, I'll just scroll. You claim that you've never heard a slave having free will. So are you saying that all of the Africans that were enslaved in America, that they did not have free will? And if they didn't have free will, are you saying that they're animals? Because cows and donkeys don't have free will. Dogs don't have free will. But Africans, there were Africans that were enslaved. They were African slaves in America. So are you saying that they were just like cattle? Be careful what you say. Understand what you say before you say them. Also, being a slave does not necessarily mean that you don't have free will. Being a slave just means that you are owned by the one who's by the master who owns you, right? That the slave is owned by his master. And in this case, we're owned by God. God created us, therefore He owns us, right? He created us, therefore He owns us. A better translation of the word Abdullah is servant of God, right? Servant of God. Being a servant of God, carrying out all of His commands and the duties that He wants us to carry out. Praying, fasting, being a good human being, etc. We say slave in order to be humble, to be even more humble. Like, yes, we're serving you, but God, we're so humble that you own us. We acknowledge that you own us, that we are for you. There's nothing wrong with that. Alhamdulillah. There's nothing wrong with that. Also, for someone to voluntarily use their will to wittingly serve God, which is to do good, which is to pray, which is to give charity, which is to be kind, to be humble. How is that a bad thing? Now, you're so against religion, especially Islam, because of your experience with your father. And like I said in my previous video, Islam was not created by your father. Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, was not your father. Your father was an imperfect man who made mistakes. And you're still recovering from that trauma. All of our parents made mistakes. I'm not trying to compare, but I'm saying our parents are not the standards. Our parents doesn't prove the validity or the invalidity of Islam. But to keep it short and sweet, slave, yeah, I'm a slave of God. I'm not a slave to my desires. Everyone is a slave to something. Everyone submits to something or someone. Some people are a slave to women. Some people are a slave to their man. You have a woman who calls herself a wife. She gets beaten and abused every single day. But because of her so-called love that blinds her, she becomes enslaved by that love, by that blind love, and turns a blind eye to the abuse, and thus becomes a slave of her husband. But if you use your free will to become a slave of God, that's the best. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah.